decided to build a standard gauge line between Melbourne and Sydney. And the break of gauge was to be overcome, what Mark Twain described as that great paralysis of intellect. And the governments jointly funded, New South Wales and Victoria, built 34 stainless steel gleaming sleeping, dining and lounge cars, and these cars were to provide a daily service between Sydney and Melbourne, departing at 8 p.m. every night and arriving in the capital city at 9 o'clock the following morning.
Our two locomotives at the head of the train, they were built in Granville, New South Wales. The lead locomotive was delivered to the Victorian Railways on the standard gauge to Albury and then gauge converted at Bandiana in 1957, and the sister same thing happened in 1961. This is the first time since then that these two locomotives have been back here to Sydney. So very historic occasion, and it's also the first time ever. There was some through working of Victorian and New South Wales locomotives on this train towards the end of its life, but it's never been hauled out of Sydney Central by a blue and gold liveried Victorian Railways locomotive.
siding in our museum at Seymour has been cut off since February, I think it was, when the landslip on the main Sydney to Melbourne railway had a landslip. We won't get it back until May at the earliest, we believe. So for 3 or 4 months we have all our locomotives stuck at Seymour. 3801 is stuck at Seymour. All of them are stuck at Seymour. And therefore it is great that actually the Rail Heritage Centre for Seymour and John Croft helped us out. They've worked incredibly hard with my team and with Owen's team to make this event happen. You wouldn't believe how few diesel locomotives are available for hire in Australia at the moment. And John, this team, I think it's a big zero now because we've got the last 3. John, this team, working with my team, working with Daniel, working with everybody, have done a fantastic job to get this here.
welcome you to the St James Rail Transport Heritage New South Wales and Seymour Railway Heritage Centre 60th Anniversary Southern Aurora. 60 years ago, the launch of this train occurred in the Trocadero in Sydney, and it had a guest list that included the Governor-General, Viscount Delisle, the Prime Minister Sir Robert Menzies, the Premiers and the Governors of both states, the Commissioners of the Railways of both states, and the Lord Mayors of Sydney and Melbourne. And so, Rob, could I, as the Chairman of Transport Heritage New South Wales, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your comments.
So congratulations to St James Rail for actually putting on this 60th anniversary. and I can assure you it has been traumatic. Owen didn't have any grey hair until about 4 weeks ago. But just go back to the train and talked about it. How momentous would it have been 60 years ago to have the gauge fixed? I mean, it is incredible, really, that the gauge was broken for so long. I think it was New South Wales reneged on the deal to go broad gauge at one stage, or narrow gauge, whatever it was. But never mind, we've forgotten all that now, haven't we? So in the 60 years, this train carried about 2.4 million passengers between Sydney and Melbourne on the Southern Aurora. It's now been succeeded by the XPT, which in its own way is about to be replaced by a new train as well. But looking at this event, so if I can just say a special thank you to John and your team, to Transport Heritage New South Wales. I could say bon voyage and Godspeed. Thanks very much and have a great trip, all of you.
Thank you very much, Rob and John.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you, Rob, for your kind words. 2 weeks ago, I was out in Western Victoria in the Wimmera, scoping a trip that we are looking at running in May next month for silo art, and I got a phone call from Colin Eggleston, who's a friend and a guest on tonight's train of Owen's, and Colin said that there was a problem, and possibly Seymour could help out. Well, little did I know. And 2 weeks later, standing here in Sydney Central Station, and it was thought initially there's no way we could put this together, because what I can tell you is that on the modern railway it couldn't be put together. And in fact, I know that Daniel and his team looked at every option, as Rob mentioned, to try and source horsepower from other entities, and there was no options, and also perhaps not a high level of interest as well, because these things are very, very difficult to put together in the new modern silo railway structure that we live in. But we're here, and we did it, and more excitingly, I think, for the future, is out of adversity comes opportunity. And I think the great thing that's taken place is that the two organisations have now built a relationship that I think can be the foundation of cooperation going forward in the heritage sector between Victoria and New South Wales. So I think the future looks really, really bright in terms of cooperation between the two states. This is an absolutely fantastic product, as Owen has described, and we look forward to hauling it to Melbourne tonight.
And could I finally say thank you to the wonderful railway band that has provided us with such a marvellous opportunity to not only listen, but also to hear the joy that in some way must have been part of both the Trocadero and the day this train left here 60 years ago.
59. Let's go.